What's going on, guys? I wanted to do a little bit of a different video today. Man, I really wish I could do card tricks. So I decided yesterday that I was going to do some product photos of these playing cards. I just loved the aesthetic. Saw them at Target and I was like, yes. Can you not? There we go. Went out, got a black piece of foam core for the backdrop, and then I lit the shot with just window light and then the Aperture MX. I shot this with a 3400 Kelvin white balance. Don't blind yourself. Those are like the top of my favorite images that I got from this session. I want to actually jump into Photoshop here. And I want to go through some of my favorite raw files, and maybe even some that I didn't post, and just kind of go through my editing process with you guys and try to recreate some of the looks. I think we're going to edit this first photo. I'll kind of go through as well how I shot them, how I set it up, the light, things like that. So right here, we'll just flip this vertical real quick. So for this shot, as we can see here, my settings, we're at f4, 1/160th of a second, ISO 250, and I'm using the 24-70 over here, this bad boy. I love this lens by Sigma. It is the best. I definitely recommend picking it up. It's a great all-around lens. First things first, looking at this, I set my black foam core as close to the window as I possibly could, because there was some nice kind of shadows and light leaks coming through from the sun and from the trees. There's an apple tree outside of my window, and the leaves and the little bars in my window kind of give really nice harsh shadows onto the black backdrop, and I really liked that to give some contrast and kind of just some sort of interest in the photo. So we decided to do that. I added some props. So it's not really a Chemex, but it reminds me of a Chemex. Today we will be learning all about photography. I'm just kidding. Yeah, this is by Bodum. It's for pour over coffee, and I just thought it would be a really good prop. So we used that, and you can see there's a little bit of red leak over here of light, and I used the MC for that by Aperture. I love this little light. I am going to use some of my presets though. I think I actually used my Cine preset for this. I'm not 100% sure, but I think we used this as a starting base. Yeah, so here's my Cine preset, and as you can see, it's already taken the look that I want for the most part, and I am working on a preset pack. My first ever preset pack that is going to be available to you guys to purchase once I finish the pack. There's going to be, I think I'm going to do 10 presets to start out with. First thing I'm going to do is crop it 4x5 for Instagram. This is what I normally do for all of my photos because I really love these like dark, moody, high contrast, very warm tone type of photos. So what I'll usually do is I'll up the exposure just a little bit. A lot of the times I'll underexpose by just a half a stop or a quarter stop. And then I'll bring it back a little bit just to add a little bit more brightness. I'll up the contrast a little bit. I'll down the highlights, because if we leave the highlights here in the middle, as you can see, it's a little bit too punchy in my opinion. So I want to bring those down. Not too far though, because then it kills all of the highlight, and we don't want that. I want like a nice happy medium. So now that we're in the HSL tab, the hue, saturation, and luminance adjustments, what I'll do is I'll kind of go through the hues first, change up the colors a little bit, not too much because it is a product photo and I don't want to change the colors away from the actual product and what it looks like. So you don't want to go crazy with the colors. But I want the blacks to look black and I want the whites to look white. And one of the big things to nail that in camera is to get your white balance right, which I did. But sometimes you just want to give it a little bit of a stylized look. So what I will do is deepen the oranges a little bit more to the red side. Now I don't want to overkill it because then it starts to look a little bit too magenta and pink. And I don't want to go the other way where it kind of looks a little bit too yellow. I will go to my saturation and I will kill the greens, the aquas, and the blues depending upon what is in my shot. Now if we put all of these back to the middle, as you can see, if we zoom in, there's a little bit of color cast here, and it's very subtle, but you can see it a little bit. There's like a little bit of green kind of color cast here in these shadows and highlights, and if I bring the green down, you can see that kills it subtly, and then you can really notice it if I bring down the aquas. And then the blues, Blues tend to hide in the shadows, and it kind of gives a blue tone to the blacks, which sometimes I don't want, sometimes I do want. Like right here, if you look, if we go into the highlighting and split toning aspects, we can bring some blues into the shadows to give it a more stylized cinematic look, but I really want the blacks to be true black, so we're not going to add anything there. Nothing here besides some profile corrections, chromatic aberrations, and some lens distortion corrections. And then what I'll normally do sometimes is add a little bit of film grain. If I'm shooting at a lower ISO like 100 or 250, I'll add grain up to around 640 ISO, and then after that I'll cut it out, because once you start shooting at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 ISO, 6400, then you kind of get a little bit of noise. It's not bad at all on the Sony cameras, but I just tend to not add any more grain on top of what's already there, just because I feel like it's overkill. Vignetting. Now, I used to absolutely hate vignetting, but I've gotten really used to it. I really like it. It just adds a little bit to the image. Like if I don't have any vignette here, it still looks fine, but if I add, it just kind of brings the central attention of the shot to the cards, which I really, really adore. And then one thing I'll do is I'll go to the adjustment brush here, and I'll just paint over the top of the card here, and then we'll up the whites a little bit, up the shadows, not too much, and then we'll bring down the exposure just a little bit, and then I'm gonna make sure I warm it up just a tad, so we kind of bring more focus to the card itself, which I really like. So if we look at a quick before and after here, this is the before straight out of camera, the raw image, and the after. Very subtle. Onto the next photo here. I shot this at a little bit of a side angle to give a little bit more depth, kind of play with the highlights and the shadows a little bit, and the roll off. It's a little bit too magenta-y, I think. So we're gonna bring the white balance down just a little bit. Something along these lines here. And you're good to go, bud. It's just, I love the details as well. I mean, these cards are really crazy, and I want to give a thank you to Theory 11 because they actually saw my posts on Instagram. I thought that was so cool. So they actually reposted this photo on their Instagram, which is just super cool. It's mind-boggling to me. I love getting the attention of brands and them being able to notice my work and actually think it's good. I think that's just crazy. It's like, so for this shot, if we can replicate here, if we go to my Cine preset, and you notice if you look at some of my preset names, they're related to coffee in some way, and that's what I want my preset pack to kind of be based around. I'm still thinking of some names that are a little bit more creative, but we'll use the Cine preset again, and then we'll bring up the exposure a little bit on this one, bring up the shadows, and then we will bring down the color temperature to around 4300, and then we'll crop it 4x5. I mean, that's really all there is to it. Something like that. And then this over here is a little bit distracting, so we're just gonna bingo bango. And then we'll grab an adjustment brush and we'll just paint over this little part here. It's a little bit dark, just to kind of bring it out. There we go. I love photo editing. I just really enjoy it. And like last night after work, I came home, I grabbed a Red Bull, I still have another one in the fridge, and I came home, grabbed my black piece of foam core. It was around 12:30, 1 o'clock at night, and I just shot. I grabbed my camera, I actually used the 35mm for these shots, but I just did some product shots of my Red Bull. It turned out dope. So I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I just wanted to film something today, talk to you guys a little bit, and show you guys these really cool cards. Thank you so much to Theory 11 for reposting my photo and just liking my stuff. Like, I love when brands comment on my stuff and actually think it's dope. Like, that's just the best feeling in the world. If you guys want to pick up these cards, this isn't sponsored or anything like that, but I'll leave a link to their website in the description if you want to pick them up. They're $10. Super dope. And who doesn't love, I almost dropped them, and who doesn't love playing cards? Who doesn't love playing a Go Fish? I like Go Fish. That's all for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe. I really would appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next video.